What?
You're a losing coach. You can't make him win.
When people discuss the most popular sports comedies of all time, George Roy Hill's Slapshot is inevitably found at or near the top of the list. There are many reasons for Slapshot's enduring popularity. Just off the top, the Hanson brothers are completely hilarious and steal several scenes. And of course, there is the rawness and power of Nancy Dowd's script, which replicates a hockey locker room in the 1970s with great accuracy.
Oh shit, he's here.
Who?
Oglethorpe.
Ogie Oglethorpe?
You don't know Oglethorpe?
Oglethorpe?
However, it is Paul Newman's vivid portrait of Reggie Dunlop, which lingers in our minds after the film concludes, who truly captures the essence of a grizzled veteran minor leaguer winding down his career. It is interesting to note that although Newman tended to be a very harsh critic of his own work, he was uncharacteristically pleased with Slapshot and was proud of his portrait of the Charlestown player coach. Newman's Reggie Dunlop is so fully rounded we cannot help wondering where he might be if he were real and still around. As a result, I wanted to take a closer look at Reggie Dunlop to see why he continues to be so cool and so memorable, why everyone seems to adore him so much. Okay, the first thing that stands out about Reg Dunlop is his self-confidence. People around him seem to instinctively feel that he can get things done. Dunlop's persona works well here. His instinctual swagger puts people at ease. He handles things, no matter how petty or absurd.
You guys are Hansons.
Fucking machine took my quarter.
For example, throughout the film, he must deal directly with the team's general manager, Joe McGrath, played by Strother Martin, a plodding cheapskate, devoid of ideas and filled with unhelpful cliches.
Says that I got it.
Reg, did you see this quarter? It used to be a nickel.
When it becomes apparent that the team's owner is about to fold the franchise, McGrath does nothing whatever to help save the team, except inexplicably holding a fashion show that makes many of the players uncomfortable.
Reg. Joe, I don't care, man. Enough is enough. Nowhere in my contract does it say I gotta make a fool out of myself.
The players grow to despise McGrath, whom they see as self-interested only, whereas Dunlop is revered by the team as someone they trust and who truly has their best interests at heart. With McGrath centered on finding a new job and landing on his feet, Reggie becomes the de facto manager of the Charlestown team as well as the coach. The other players know that they can come to Reggie with problems and he'll try to help them. Conversely, McGrath is useless in this regard, as in this exchange with rookie goalie Denis Lemieux, portrayed by Quebecois actor Yvon Barrette.
Joe owned the Chiefs.
Owns.
Owns.
I don't know.
Reggie placates opinionated fans,
You guys gotta stop losing, man. Why don't you get the power play together, Reg?
we're working.
deals with much younger players,
Time to call Mom.
Jesus Christ.
handles the local constabulary with ease,
I throw up my hands, guys. I can't control them anymore. They gotta be punished.
deals with his prima donna star Ned Braden's unwillingness to get with the program,
Come on, killer!
We win because I score goals.
Fuck, kiss my ass. We win because I make them crazy.
Reggie even instructs the lackluster organist on how to be, well, a bit less lackluster.
Don't ever play Lady of Spain again!
At times it appears that Reggie thinks he can create facts on the ground merely through his force of will, like manufacturing a fictional buyer for the Charlestown Chiefs, in the hope that he can somehow remake and, more importantly, remarket Charlestown as a rising force, a confident, tough, punishing, exciting team that people will pay to watch. This leads to the inevitable question.
How could anybody in his right mind buy a fifth-place team?
Reggie replies with such confidence that it almost seems he has dependable knowledge of future events, and in point of fact, he does end up being right.
That situation is gonna be changed, I guarantee you.
Reggie's cool-headedness and creativity seems like the perfect counterpoint to McGrath's resigned acceptance of whatever happens next.
This is the last season. It'll be announced tomorrow.
McGrath is a company man doing as told, whereas Reggie thinks about himself and the team and what can be done to transform all the bad news into good, even if that means building a compelling yet fictional new narrative that he hopes will gradually reach critical mass and create a buyer for the franchise. One might expect that this would begin to grate on Reggie, to beat him down, but what saves him, beyond his single-mindedness, is a sense of humor and his own ideas about right and wrong. He rolls with and laughs at whatever happens, especially setbacks and personal insults, and he refuses to ruminate for too long upon any one thing. Nothing is taken overly seriously. For example, Tim McCracken's unusual greeting.
Hey, McCracken.
Dunlop, you suck cock.
All I can get.
Beyond quick comebacks, Dunlop always seems to have thought things through surprisingly thoroughly. After the Hanson brothers are arrested in Hyannisport for assaulting several fans during a game, Reggie tries to explain to the desk sergeant that the three brothers are fast becoming celebrities, almost legends, in the Federal League, but the policeman is incredulous.
Sergeant, when is the trial?
Trial? You can't leave those guys in there. They're folk heroes.
They're criminals.
Well, most folk heroes started out as criminals.
Reggie's reply is both astute and apropos. He likes to think about the meaning of things. When Reggie learns Ned Braden's wife Lily, played by Lindsay Krause, likes to underline what she calls fuck scenes in works of literature for her husband Ned to enjoy on long road trips, Reggie has an interesting insight.
Gee, she underlines a fuck scene for you. She must worship the ground you walk on.
Ned Braden, played by Michael Ontkeen, is nonchalant about it, but Reggie gets the last word.
They teach you how to underline in college. And the fuck scenes, they don't.
Reggie's sense of humor defines him, as does his talent for thinking up innovative solutions to problems. If Charlestown is doomed because of low attendance and a losing tradition, Reggie thinks he knows how to fix what's broken. He seeks to create a meaner, tougher, and more exciting team. He reasons that fans attend games to see a show, something dramatic. He is determined that one way or the other, the fans will see action and experience winning. He figures rightly that they do not much care how the Chiefs win games, whether by stick handling, passing, checking, and scoring, or through intimidation alone. Winning is winning. He rebrands in part through clearly understood symbols, like stationing an ambulance outside the arena to suggest danger and violence to the fans, that such things are now an inevitable part of every Chiefs game. On the radio, Reggie stresses the team's newfound swagger.
Some road trip for the Chiefs. 6 straight wins and a whole new rash of penalty minutes.
Well, we got a whole new attitude.
What about the Hanson brothers? They're not just bullies?
What do you mean, just bullies? They scare the bejesus out of everybody.
Throughout the film, Dunlop's wisdom frequently takes the form of bluntness. When he finally confronts the owner of the Chiefs, Anita McCambridge, played by Catherine Walker, about potentially selling her team, she explains that she will do no such thing, that she intends to fold the team for a substantive tax write-off. Despite Reggie's having turned the team around and into an increasingly profitable business, Anita refuses to see the bigger picture. She's only interested in short-term gain. This is one of the few times that we see Reggie lose his temper. He never gets angry over things like vanity or personal pride, but he doesn't suffer short-sighted fools like Ms. McCambridge gladly.
You're fucked.
What?
You are totally fucked.
An owner who doesn't care one whit about her team, her players, their families, her community, or the kids who idolize the players, or anything outside her own bank balance, drives Reggie to distraction. He thinks in simple terms. Why be a jerk when you don't have to be? He can't fathom why Anita won't sell. Surely the quality of her players' lives should matter to her. She could surely afford to be magnanimous. Moderation seems a possibility on this occasion, but it's so completely foreign to her she could never bring herself to do it. Moreover, Anita is also condescending towards Reggie.
You could sell us. We're hot. People go nuts for us. You could find a buyer.
I don't think you understand finance.
She is rather obtuse and misses the point of Reggie coming to see her. The Chiefs were far more than just a business. He's trying to speak to Anita, one human to another, about community, something that can't totally be evaluated in economic terms alone. There has to be some give and take. But to Anita, Reggie's attempt to rebrand the team was merely an amusing distraction. Nothing more.
The radio interviews are fantastic, and the Hanson brothers? Oh my God.
Reggie realizes that Anita sees he and his teammates as essentially violence-loving criminals and clowns. Reggie loses patience with her short-sightedness and finally understands that she is more an impediment to, rather than an agent of, change. In the end, he realizes that Anita McCambridge and Joe McGrath probably deserve each other. In their incapable hands, the team never had a chance. Reggie Dunlop has a vision in his head of what needs to be done, while Anita has only her accountants to tell her what to do. She deserves every bit of his disapprobation. In the course of the movie, Reggie distinguishes himself as a truly gifted, nearly inspired liar. To try to ensure the Chiefs' survival, he becomes a master at stretching the truth. Yet he also has a moral center, and he limits himself to lies which don't hurt others. To him, this behavior is justified because he is striving to create a future for the team going forward. He considers it his duty to keep trying to keep the team together. Whenever things get tough, he feels justified in whatever he decides to do and say. So when McGrath, for example, declines to reveal the identity of the team owner, Dunlop simply invents one and then creates a useful narrative, that the fictional owner is in fact negotiating with an interested, entirely invented buyer to move the Chiefs down south.
Hush, hush, and I can't name names, but let's just say that there's a senior citizens community in a southern state that's in the market for a hockey team.
The Chiefs?
This lie makes the team seem wanted, not an orphan franchise abandoned by ownership. Reggie needs this lie to create hope in the minds of the players. He wishes his guys to believe that their current season serves a bigger purpose, like convincing a new buyer that they're winners, a team worth owning. After planting the story with Dickie Dunn, Reggie then waits for his teammates to notice the article. It's better for the lie to come from a journalist, more plausible.
The Times herald that a St. Petersburg, Florida retirement community is negotiating with the Charlestown Hockey Corporation for the purchase...
There's a method to this madness.
Dickie Dunn wrote this. It's gotta be true. Okay, Dick.
When playing other teams, Reggie deliberately creates situations in which fights become more likely. He angers Barclay Donaldson, who reacts by making a crack about Reggie's age. Dave Killer Carlson, played by Jerry Hauser, overhears and fights Donaldson and receives a savage beating. Reggie then shifts to an alternative narrative. Charlestown gets no respect.
I'm telling you, he jumped us. Sure did. I mean, gloves off, stick down, no warning. He challenged the Chiefs. Okay, but Dave's out. Who's going to take his place?
The Hanson brothers are now subsumed into the lie of Charlestown being the victims. Reggie's prevarication works this way: either accept his new narrative or risk siding with the Chiefs' opponents. In the Hyannisport game, when a fan hits Jeff Hansen with some house keys, Reggie exaggerates what occurred.
Somebody threw a fucking tire chain, hit him right in the mouth. Scratches made by human fingernails.
Someone threw a monkey wrench. Yeah, it hit Jeff right in the face.
Reggie ultimately argues that fighting the fans was essentially the same as defending the honor of Charlestown. This one is perhaps the crown jewel of all the lies he concocts during Slapshot, though again, it's designed to make Charlestown pull together as a team. Even vets who know what Reggie's doing don't perceive him as manipulative. They realize that he's trying to ensure a future for the players. Frankly, it's hard not to admire how plausibly and how frequently Reggie lies throughout the film. Beyond his inventive exaggerations, Reggie is admired by the team as someone who truly enjoys life's pleasures. For example, despite dreaming of reconciliation with Francine, from whom he's separated, he nevertheless still enjoys the company of other women from time to time. He also spends much of his time in Slapshot drinking and carousing with his teammates and other friends. And on road trips, the other players gravitate to Reggie's room to hang out and watch TV. The star of the team, Ned Braden, is sometimes sarcastic during Reggie's pep talk.
Get that fucking stick in his side. Let him know you're there. Get that lumber in his teeth. Now let him know you're there.
Bleed all over him. Let him know you're there.
But in general, even he is respectful to Reggie, and since Braden is decidedly not a leader, the mantle of leadership is always Reggie's. Wherever he goes, Reggie is the life of the party. What's not to like? He's a natural leader who loves having fun. Everyone is attracted to his exuberant example. Despite being a horny, cisgendered, red-blooded, most likely Canadian male, Reggie Dunlop's attitudes towards sex are surprisingly liberal and forward-thinking, even enlightened at certain moments. Of course, the locker room is occasionally the site of some homophobic jokes and innuendo, but Dunlop is largely accepting of others' sexuality, as with his very sympathetic attitude towards Suzanne Hanrahan's discussion of her bisexuality.
I've been sleeping with women. Are you shocked?
No.
Do you want to know how it happened?
No, that's okay.
Dunlop is certainly oversexed, yet he still manages to be gentlemanly towards virtually every woman he encounters, with the exception of Anita McCambridge. In contrast, Morris Mo Wanchuk, played by Brad Sullivan, is a very creepy teammate who says ultra-creepy things throughout the film.
Used all that gorgeous snatch in FLA.
I don't like the way they cover their jugs all up with the feathers, you know, Reg?
Reggie tends to express similar sentiments, albeit in more socially acceptable, more positive, less crude, somewhat more generic ways. Here's an example of that.
And Jackie was running around telling everybody he was going to get Jill back even if he had a beggar. Oh, I think he should have. She was a dynamite broad.
Today this could be taken the wrong way, but back then, over time, Reggie develops a close but platonic and protective relationship with Lily Braden, Ned's wife. Reggie disapproved of how Ned mistreated Lily, cheating on her and taking her for granted, and he saw how Lily was suffering.
He treats you like shit.
From the beginning, Reggie admired Lily's outspokenness and determination to live her own life. They share a lot in common, particularly their spirited defiance of expectations.
You're bullshit! You're really bullshit!
Why should she give a shit what other people think of her? She's just scrapping.
What's the story on that dog?
That's a dog that saved Charleston from the 1938 flood.
Well, fuck him.
Ned is so dismissive of Lily that when Reggie sees a chance to one-up Ned, he does so.
I underlined the fuck scenes for you.
Get back in the van. You're gonna catch pneumonia.
As an experienced older man, however, Reggie is able to repeat the same line, but with a very different emphasis.
Go on back to the van, because you're gorgeous and you're going to catch pneumonia.
Reggie is living proof that everything in life can be done with more wit, artfulness, creativity, and charm. He is a gifted flirt. To him, Lily is an unusual, funny, creative, intelligent, and loving person, and the sooner Ned Braden realizes this, the better. Of course, Reggie's flirting tends to work out for him, at least in part because even a 52-year-old version of Paul Newman, well, let's face it, is still Paul Newman. But even just in the context of the film, Reggie's been around long enough not to take things too far into harassment or inappropriateness. As he explains to Francine, he never tried to take advantage of Lily. Francine knows it's true, that Reggie wouldn't want to screw up Lily's life or her marriage even more than it already is. Francine, played by Jennifer Warren, may very nearly be Reggie's ex-wife, but he still cares deeply about her and remains solicitous, respectful, courteous, even chivalrous. Both are cheerful and positive people. We see how very kind and encouraging Francine is to Lily Braden when Reggie brings the young woman in for a makeover. Francine and Reggie are kind in similar ways. It's easy to see how they got together. For his part, Reggie seems in denial about their breakup, whereas Francine makes no secret of the fact that she sees Reggie's life in hockey as a continuing flight from reality. She considers him someone who can't quite pull his life together. Still, it is impossible not to notice that the relentless, determined way in which Reggie strives to save the Charlestown Chiefs is not unlike his continual attempts to reconcile with Francine. Reggie doesn't ever accept failure as final, but rather sees it as a personal challenge. With regard to his plan to artificially stimulate interest in the Chiefs, Reggie must have known that this plan had little or no chance of succeeding. Similarly, Reggie probably knows full well that reconciling with Francine is not very likely either.
My wife left me, I was driving her crazy. All she could do is drink and cry like you.
His basic personality is happy-go-lucky. Francine and Reggie are both constructive people who like to fix broken things. Francine through makeovers and Reggie through wishful thinking and team building. He never accepts defeat. He's full of hope for a better future, even if he knows, like his marriage, that the prospects are tenuous at best. Still, it costs nothing to be jovial and positive. So why not tell Francine she looks great? It's the truth.
God, Francine, you look terrific.
You're right.
As frequently happens with married couples, what originally attracted Francine to Reggie now kind of repels her. In addition, with her headed to Long Island and Reggie relocating to Minnesota as the film ends, they may not see one another again. It seems significant that winning a championship does not cause Francine to treat Reggie with any more seriousness or respect at the end of the film than she does at the very beginning. Still, Reggie remains determined to keep the lines of communication open.
Honey, somebody's playing a practical joke on you.
No, I got a contract back there in the car. Oh, Jesus.
What?
You don't have my number.
He will keep trying with Francine because that is his nature. Another one of Reggie Dunlop's more endearing characteristics is his complete disregard for convention.
I'm placing a personal bounty on the head of Tim McCracken. He's the coach and chief punk on that Syracuse team.
McGrath worries what this might mean.
Bounty! We could all end in the clinker for this.
Oh, big deal, Joe.
In order to build anticipation, Reggie tries to make the Charlestown fans feel more involved, like he's letting them in on a secret. He is also striving to get inside his opponents' heads. Upon learning from Suzanne Hanrahan, played by Melinda Dillon, the wife of an opposition goalie, that her husband is threatened by her sexual dalliances and is divorcing her, Reggie exploits this information to best advantage. As Ned says, it results in an ugly win, but Reggie doesn't care. He wants the Charlestown losing streak to end, and it does. To Reggie, it doesn't matter how they got the W, just so long as they got it. Later on, Reggie goads Ned about his own marital problems. The idea is to taunt Ned into becoming a more physical player and to fight his opponents. The plan works. Ned does get violent, but not as Reggie intended. At another point, Reggie is not above blackmailing Joe McGrath in order to find out the name of the team's owner.
Remember, I went up to your room afterwards and you were dressed in chick's clothes? Rich, remember how I screamed at you when you started coming on to me? And
During radio interviews, Reggie lies openly about the purchase of the Chiefs.
Anything new on the sale of the Chiefs?
I think the negotiations are, going pretty good.
Of course, there were no negotiations because there was never any party interested in purchasing the team. Reggie's lies to his own teammates are equally brash.
Hey, where'd the hell all this beer come from?
It's from the owner. Oh, he's a neat guy. He's looking to get his bonus.
Again, Reggie feels that he can get away with this degree of outrageous conduct because he's doing it to convince the team that there's a future. one cannot help admiring Reggie's gift for subterfuge, if nothing else. If you think about it, practically everything that happens in Slapshot, all the action, is for the benefit of the fans. Reggie reveres all hockey fans because he knows that anyone can become one, and that the league and the sport in general would not exist without them. Of course, individually he sees the fans as wasting his time and is sometimes very dismissive of them. In addition, Reggie finds it hard to bear insulting fans.
You stink!
Collectively, he knows that fans can move mountains. He experiences the transformative effect that the Charlestown Booster Club has on the team's identity.
Where? Oh, yeah!
The minute the fan club's school bus unexpectedly pulls up beside the team bus, to the tune of Maxine Nightingale's Right Back Where We Started From, the team immediately perks up. At times, Reggie is at pains to understand the behavior of individual Charlestown fans. This happens during a radio interview with Jim Carr, played by Andrew Duncan.
Hi there, Jim Carr. What's your question?
Hey, Dunlop, you old fart. Why don't you get out of the game and let somebody...
Reggie is baffled by such behavior since fans are supposed to be loyal to their chosen team. This scene from early on is in stark contrast with another about halfway through the film. On the road trip, the Booster Club and the players begin spontaneously dancing and singing in the hotel lobby. These are Reggie's type of fans. They're all in, totally invested in the Chiefs. These fans are valuable assets. They religiously attend all home games, listen to Jim Carr's reports, read Dickie Dunn's column, and help out by providing the team with ancillary revenue streams, t-shirts, keychains, posters, any and all manner of Chiefs curiosities that the team might choose to sell. Even more passive fans who just sit around in bars discussing the Chiefs are also greeted with affection by Reggie. They too are an important part of the process of team building.
Come off my boat! I'll be skating in Florida!
Oh, we're gonna miss you guys.
Beyond elevating prevarication into an art form, what Reggie most excels at is painting a picture for the media, or as Dickie Dunn might say, capturing the spirit of the thing.
Hey, Coach, you want a White Avenger? No. Oh, give me a cup of coffee. That was a nice tribute to the guys.
I try to capture the spirit of the thing.
In 1977, branding was a relatively new concept, but Reggie instinctively grasps how things work with broadcast and print media. He wants people to understand that Charlestown's new attitude is in fact a winning attitude.
It's 8 o'clock at the War Memorial, the Syracuse, and the all-new Charleston Chiefs.
Thanks, Reg.
Not to worry, kid.
Calling Jim Carr a kid is endearing and kind. Reggie treats media people as old friends, and while being interviewed creates the illusion that he is taking the interviewer and the listeners inside the locker room. With Dickie Dunn, played by M. Emmett Walsh, Reggie explains why it would be advantageous for a Federal League team to relocate to Florida.
See, they're getting a bunch of old geezers down there from the Northeast. And what do you think those old geezers really miss in Florida? Hockey. Oh, those poor old people down there, they gotta have something to root for.
Reggie knows that Dickie wants a good story first and foremost, one that people can understand easily. The less nuanced, the better. The Hockey Hall of Fame features a category for builders, not just players and coaches, but those who truly work to build the sport. This is who Reggie Dunlop aspires to be. His team, or any team for that matter, creates something for writers to write about, for fans to talk and complain about, for kids to identify with, and for people to spend their money on, trinkets, season tickets, etc. Reggie is creating a spectacle, a drama for the fans, a narrative that's seductive and easy to grasp, a curiosity to intrigue people into learning more, and a team that opponents will dread playing. In short, he is a builder of teams. As concerns the Hanson brothers, Reggie cannot help noticing that they are already so beloved that there is very nearly a laying on of hands by their most fervent fans. In many ways, he is as good as any social media person today at driving interest. He invites you into his world.
I'd like the folks to come down and just watch us cream them punks from Syracuse.
Reggie is a natural at promoting his sport, in the media and even at the local drugstore with individual fans.
Hey, thanks. Fun of the game tonight. Compliments of the Chiefs.
Thanks, Reggie.
By the way, the druggist is played by Paul Newman's daughter, Susan Kendall Newman.
I guess that was a big fight.
Ultimately, he creates a hockey arms race whereby their rivals in Syracuse, the Bulldogs, have to stock up on violent criminals and goons to stay on the same ice surface with Charlestown. One of Reggie's most brilliant marketing ideas involves targeting Tim McCracken, played by Paul D'Amato. The $100 bounty on McCracken's head immediately sparks interest in the game. What will happen to McCracken? Will he be severely injured? The ambulance makes the situation look even more dire than it probably is. Reggie stirs up interest because he knows that his future and the team's are now linked. The underpinning of Reggie's plan is to compel the people of Charlestown, a small community with few other distractions, to more strongly identify with their local club. The beauty of this is that it requires everyone to buy into it: fans, citizens, politicians, media, players, opponents, management, ownership. Indeed, even the Federal League itself has to buy into the plan. They all have to pull together. Reggie's plan was designed to sell a franchise, but in the end, it gave the players a sense of purpose and made them stick together. It was a project to reconceive their team as a kind of hyperbolic, irresistible spectacle. This is probably why Reggie seems to have no particular problem with Ned's decision to strip to his jockstrap during the championship game. His stripping wins the championship for Charleston by forfeit when McCracken, upset over Ned's mockery of hockey violence, assaults a referee. Reggie knows that the publicity from this game will allow Charlestown to enter the realm of legendary minor league teams. Reggie gets his next job, coach of the Minnesota Nighthawks, by winning the Federal League championship. From this new position, he may be able to save the careers of many Chiefs players. The thought occurs that there is an interesting dichotomy between Reggie Dunlop and Ned Braden. While Ned is strongly centered in reality and rarely challenges established norms and continues to the end to believe that fans prefer goal scoring to fighting, Reggie Dunlop's fanciful vision, primarily rooted in lies about a southern community buying their team and an owner who wants to sell and not fold the Chiefs, is what ultimately makes a difference. Early in the movie, Ned jokes that he'd make a better owner than the current one, but how does his vision differ from current management? Reggie Dunlop is different. He wants to remake the Chiefs as the sort of team that he personally paid to watch, and moreover, the kind of team he always wanted to be a part of, a winning one. In the end, Reggie Dunlop achieves part of what he was trying to do for the team, whereas Ned's negativity and incredulity don't achieve anything. Talent can only take you so far. It was Reggie's guile and determination that saved, if not the team exactly, then at least the jobs of a goodly number of players on the team. And it was definitely not aided by Ned's determination to remain a stick in the mud. What was Ned doing to save anyone, even his own marriage? He was largely indifferent to Reggie's entire project until he decided to strip down in the championship game. Before this, he refused to participate with the others.
I'm not gonna goon it up for you.
No?
He ridiculed what Reggie was attempting to do. Pessimism is always so easy, and optimism so hard. Reggie's way was a much harder road, but he made a difference. Whereas Ned's reality-based belief system creates only passive, accepting sheep, like Joe McGrath. Reggie's plan required courage, imagination, and a belief in something that seemed impossible. Braden's no builder, just another talented minor leaguer. At the end of the day, Reggie Dunlop is admired for the aforementioned reasons, and one more as well. He utilizes his smile and personal appeal, call it charisma and charm, to overcome many things. For example, an absentee owner like Anita McCambridge, an uninspired manager like Joe McGrath, and a team that doesn't start out as a team so much as a bunch of badly mismatched pieces. Reggie watches them grow to become more than the sum of their parts. The fans love Reggie and what he tried to build in Charlestown. They will follow with interest how he does with the Minnesota Nighthawks. They want him to succeed. During the victory parade, the final scene of the film, we see that even Reggie himself feels pressure to keep this narrative going.
Honey, I gotta go.
You gotta go. Well, listen, if things don't work out, you can always get in touch with me in Minneapolis.
Bye, Reggie.
Lily then asks Reggie an important question.
Care to come into Minnesota?
Oh, for sure.
It may not be the most honest answer, at best par for the course considering all the other times we've seen Reggie bend the truth, but it fits the narrative of success that he has been attempting to create. He knows that Lily is expecting a happily ever after type answer, so despite the fact that he knows better, he decides not to disappoint her. He dare not admit that Francine doesn't think that anything's been resolved between them, so he goes with what we've grown to expect from him, a beautiful lie. He knows he may not see Francine again, but who does it really hurt to say that he might? Life is always an uncertain proposition, so for one brief instant at least, if only in his mind's eye, he considers the possibility of a joyous reunion with Francine in Minnesota. Reggie knows that getting things done, at least for him, begins with truly believing that failure is not an option. Compared to all the things that have happened in the course of the film, reconciling with his ex doesn't seem totally impossible, and certainly it's worth the effort, as Reg might say, with a dynamite gal like Francine. To Reggie, there's no point in even having goals in the first place if they're not challenging, transformative, and unlikely. Reggie Dunlop, it's hard not to love this guy. I hope you enjoyed watching this video about Mr. Dunlop. one of the all-time great characters, one of Paul Newman's favorite roles, and one of the reasons that Slapshot remains a favorite among sports fans. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to press like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you will return to watch other videos.
You told me the only reason you paid any attention to me was to make him crazy so that he'd fight.
Yeah, that's part of it. But mainly it's because I think you're a champ.
Fucking machine took my quarter.
Who you? Reggie Dunlop, the coach.